like to welcome everyone for coming out on this brisk, unusual Newport News morning.
Nice to see you. It's cold. It's cold.
Public art plays a vital role in enhancing the quality of life for our citizens. And I just want to thank Bobby Freeman and the Newport News Public Art Foundation for making such a positive impact on this community by just creating museums without walls.
What we do as an organization, first and foremost, is we pick locations. Where would be a great place for public art in our city that a large number of people would see it? That's always the first step. Then it's our job to curate it. We have to find an artist's work that complements that site, and then the ugly reality, we have to go find the money. Because I think it's probably largely misunderstood, and I would imagine if you polled the residents of Newport News, they would mostly think that the city is paying for all these sculptures that go up all over town. Well, it's our job to say, while the city is a tremendous partner, the vast majority of the funds that go into each and every public sculpture in Newport News are private money, and that's very important. Over 30 different individuals, companies, and foundations wrote checks to make this project happen today. 20 more companies provided in-kind services. That's 50 different individuals, companies, and organizations that came together to make one small little project happen in the city of Newport News. I think that's pretty extraordinary.
Public art is just an integral part of our community, and it adds to the aesthetics and the character of our city. And it's a way of expressing civic pride. This sculpture that's being unveiled today will add a landmark to a busy stretch of Jefferson Avenue, as we can hear all these cars. You know, this city is transforming, and this deer is a reflection of that transformation. And as we often say, and say with pride, Newport News is a place where great things are happening, and the great cities deserve great public art.
Do you know that more people see our art in a day than go to every other art institution in our city in a year? Think about that. Think how many cars are driving by this site right now. That's the power of public art, I think.
So now I wanted to just talk about the pieces that I'm doing here that is, going to be something that you guys will see and grow up with. I hope you enjoy them because they're kind of for you. The process of making the sculptures with Newport News Art Foundation involved a lot of discussion.
What we wanted to achieve is to find an artist that didn't just make a realistic copy of a deer. We all know what deer look like. We wanted to find an artist that could interpret this animal, that could speak to us in some form, that would really bring out the power and the majesty of this animal. And I think we accomplished that. Wendy has studios in Brooklyn, New York, and in Nelson, New Hampshire. She was educated at the Pratt Institute and Harvard University. Her work is in botanical gardens, parks, college campuses, sculpture parks, and city streets all over the United States. And now we're very fortunate to have a piece of her work in our collection. It's my pleasure to introduce our sculptor, Wendy Klemperer.
Hello. Years ago, I was just making sculpture, and it was just me. And it's only maybe in the past 10 or 15 years that I've been doing this commissioned work. But what's nice about it is that the commission always comes out of my imagery and the work that I've been doing or I'm interested in doing. And so sometimes the commission can be like a really interesting assignment or even collaboration. These are not my first deer. I have made many deer sculptures, and they started out very small. And again, I actually started out doing a lot of horse imagery, and that was kind of my trademark thing. But I became interested in the deer image, and way back when I was like, I don't know if I can make a deer. I don't know how that will look. And then that sort of took off, and I have made a lot of deer sculptures. These are probably the biggest deer sculptures, but I've also done a series of life-size and larger elk sculptures that are, I have some in Maine and some in Colorado. They're kind of around the country.
We'd like to present you with a piece of Wendy's work for everything you've done for us. Thank you.
I definitely would like to thank Bobby Freeman and the Newport News Public Art Foundation for having the perseverance to bring this project to fruition over probably 10 years of discussion and ups and downs, and I feel like they really loved the work and fought to make it happen. And also, actually, I'd like to thank I don't even remember the name of the company, but the crane company that lent me the welder, and the crane, and all the people that contributed generously to make the project happen.
But again, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Well, for the people of Newport News who happen upon this sculpture, I want to interest them in sculpture itself and the idea of a three-dimensional form that expresses something and that is not necessarily functional or anything like that, but it can just provide them with an experience, a visual experience. And these pieces being figurative or having recognizable imagery, I feel like they can draw people on different levels. You know, they might see the image and go like, oh, that's a deer, I recognize it. But when they come closer and look at it longer, I want them to be drawn into the material itself and how the material creates the form. And this sort of industrial refuse can come back to life. The salvaged steel can come back to life. And again, it's an image, but it's also this series of sort of abstract lines that create a vigorous drawing. So that's one level, sort of the artistic level. And then on another level is kind of the environmental level, which is I do work with animal imagery because I'm fascinated by animals and wildlife. And I studied quite a bit about the deer. By the early 20th century, they were hunted almost out of existence. And even Deer Park itself was originally a refuge. They brought in deer here, and it was a refuge for deer at a time when deer were much more scarce. I think it's remarkable that a creature like that can come back and thrive again. So that's part of the message.
Now, one thing I'm going to say shamelessly right now about our organization, we have a new app. So I don't care if you stop right now and take your phone out. I really don't. Download our app, and it's great because it's terrific. You get to see the art and you see where it is. You can go to that app and click on a piece of art and click another button, and you can hear the artist that created that artwork talk about how he or she created and why and why they were inspired to bring it to the city of Newport News. And as far as we know, there's not another collection of public art in America that is curated by the artist that created the art. And I think that's really amazing. 10 years from now, 25 years from now, 50 and 100 years from now, when these pieces of art are still here, those voices are really, really, really going to be special to have. We are in about our 15th year, and our purpose is to bring the very finest permanent public sculpture in the world to the city of Newport News. To date, today marks the 18th permanent public sculpture we've installed. I think it's pretty phenomenal.
I don't name them. I don't name them. I usually just refer to them as this guy and that guy. But I'm really happy with how they look here, and I feel like they've got a great home. And also I'll come and visit them now and then.